Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the realest podcast in the dunya. We're back again with the beautiful brother here, SQ.
We're back for another one. The first one was so legendary, we had to do it again. MashaAllah, barakallah.
Several, like an hour or something later?
Couple weeks. What you talking about? What you talking about? You jail, bro.
Inshallah. But today...
we got a good one from today.
Yes, today we got a good one for y'all. So we want to get into... I completely forgot.
Come on, bro.
It's not
You were making
story.
so much
It's not
progress,
Reverts
bro.
story, though.
It kind of is. Literally, bruh.
No, it's good.
It's advice for reverts, bro.
Okay, yeah, so...
Advice for reverts.
We want to get into advice for reverts and advice for Muslims who may not be practicing that well, but you know they're aware of this. They want to change this because let's be honest, you have non-Muslims who, you know, Allah guides to Islam, but you have born Muslims who Allah brings back to the real deen, the deen of Islam. So, I'll start with you, bro.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wow, mashallah, barakallah. What an amazing intro that we just had right now. No, it's good. You know, subhanAllah, you mentioned a good point, bro, bringing people back to Islam. And sometimes that's just what needs to happen. And remember that the scars that we have tell a really unique story. A lot of us run away from that idea of scars. We try to mask up and have these perfect perceptions of who we are. And, you know, a person who may be watching this for the first time sees you, sees someone like myself who just has tattoos and, Muslim tattoo, how does that make sense? You know, each scar tells a story. It tells who we used to be. And it's a sign that we've grown. And for those of you feeling like alienated a little bit, but I'm not a reaver, how am I going to benefit from this? No, there's going to be a lot for everyone to benefit from this, inshallah ta'ala. So, you know, for me, you know, we were speaking about this as well too. What brought me back to Islam was a breakup. It was me getting my heart broken, bro. It was, I feel like I've always been a hopeless romantic. I don't know if anyone could vibe with that, being a hopeless romantic.
Explain.
I just feel like I would do anything for love. If that,
You're one of those. It's better to love and lose than to never love at all.
Yeah, I would be that person who would write you a letter and just do something different. You know, like maybe get you a rose. And just okay. Yeah, I would just write you a letter and just do something completely different. Maybe get you a flower. And you know what? You might not even reciprocate it to me back. You know, that might not lead me to get a date. That might not lead me to have anything happen with you. But at least I did it. You know, I don't have to live with that regret of, you know, what if I would have tried to ask him out or whatever the case might be. And I've had this, bro, where there was this really, you know, cute girl at the time. Astaghfirullah. There was this cute in the uni at the time.
I exposed you.
Yeah. There was this girl in my math class. So I studied mathematics in university for my undergrad, right? Believe it or not. She was just like, you know, I liked her. I thought, you know, she was in all my classes and I liked her, whatever the case might be. Then one day I was just like, you know what? I'll just do it. You know? Get a little rose and doing all that sort of stuff. I gave the rose. Oh, thank you so much. And I just felt like a lame. Nothing happened, but at least I did it. You know, at least I could say that, hey, I did do it. I didn't, you know, go about it. And I just feel like maybe because I didn't get the love at home I needed, I thought that I needed to get love from other people. And that, for me, that was a big point, bro, because and we spoke a little bit off camera about abusive households and growing up in an abusive household. And, you know, our structure of love and our definition of love comes from what we see, you know? And me seeing how my father showed his love towards my mom, towards my sister, towards myself, that's the definition of what I know love is. So I never received it. I craved it. I thought that that I would be complete when I get it from someone, when, you know, the love is within you. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-wadud, you know. He is the all-loving. He's the loving. If we want love, we need to go to the source of love, not the creation. That's a big mistake that a lot of us make, right? We think that we're going to be complete when we get in that relationship. So halal or haram, we don't care because we want the love. So anyone out there really struggling, my immediate goal would be like, hey, like, why are you chasing love so much, right? What's not right in your life right now that's causing you to want love from other people? Because people would even get married, even in a halal way, but they put all their eggs in that basket for that person, relying fully on that person, thinking that by marrying them, they will complete them. But deen is, your when you get married, half of your deen is completed. But notice that you have to come with your own completed deen to receive the other half of your deen. That means the 5 pillars and the basics of your deen. That has to be on point by you. And when you have that, you will still find out that you're incomplete until you have your spouse, right? Look at Adam alayhi salam. Bro, he was in Jannah. Think about it, bro. Jannah. Like, Jannah has everything. It's Jannah. We all want Jannah. But he was incomplete still. And Allah knew what he needed. He didn't know what he needed. Allah knew what he needed. He needed a companion. And he gave him a companion from him, right? From him. So we know that a lot of us feel incomplete. We want love. We want a companion. We like it, But you got to also remember that there's people out there who are slimy, bro. Slimy. And they will take advantage of the fact that you're pure. You're pure-hearted. That you mean good. You're a genuine person. And they will have hidden agendas and take advantage of you, right? Now, does that mean that you don't trust in, love and you give up on love? No, it means you put your trust in Allah. You do istikhara. You make a lot of dua. You tie your camel, like we said in the last podcast that we did months ago. And we put our full trust in Allah. We put our full trust in Allah. We know that Allah, you're going to handle this for me. So I think that for me, bro, being a hopeless romantic definitely came from not getting that love at home, for sure, bro.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy that you say that because, and this is, I don't know how this.
I don't know how we got into this.
I feel like we're, yeah. I'm
advice
like
for
trying to think back. I'm like, yo, am I dreaming right now? When you're dreaming, you're like, yo, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
Nah, but before I was a Muslim, I definitely did that. I looked for that love externally because I didn't really receive it in the household. And damn, like it wasn't until recently that I feel like I started to just kind of give myself that love, because I knew like Allah provides everything. So I knew like, look, like Allah's gonna give me this external love, but first I need to have internal love for my own self.
Yes, sir.
And like I'm not gonna say everything, but I can see that. Wallah, I can see that.
We want to know from y'all if y'all have similar stories or want to share about, because we all have different childhoods, how that shaped you as an adult, how that shaped your entire life, if that did affect you and how you express love, how you like to receive love, your definition of love, or even if you're just not a hopeless romantic, you're the opposite of that. If you don't love, it's tough, bro, for a lot of people. But I do want to tie it back into the trajectory we're going to.
That's what I was about to say. I just remember.
Yeah.
I just remember
Go for it,
what you
bro.
were saying. Nah, so, okay. So you said this is what brought you back to Islam.
Yeah.
In what way?
Yeah, because a breakup, bro, doesn't that like usually turn people the other way?
Yeah. So for me personally, and I think for anyone who's been in love or what they thought love was, Rami's a lover boy, mashallah, barakallah, I could tell.
Damn, boy.
Okay. You don't realize how incomplete you are until you find that person that you really love and care about, that they make you whole. And you never realize this whole time you were never complete. And when they come into your life, it feels so good. It feels great, The thought of them leaving or the thought of that love no longer being existent is a scary thought. It brings anxiety into a lot of people. It's part of the reason a lot of people stay in abusive relationships. It's part of the reason people never get out when they should have got out. They see those red flags, but because they just want to be loved, And again, this is advice. Why is this tying into reverts and all that? It's all going to make sense, inshallah. You just gotta just pay attention, all right? Just stay with us, inshallah. It'll all come together, inshallah. So when me and this person broke up, right? I felt that knife, that emptiness, that hollowness that before always was there, but I never knew its existence because I never knew what it felt like to feel quote unquote whole.
You were trying to cover it up.
Yeah. I felt like what they did by that breakup is it exposed how broken I've always been. I've always been a broken man, and people think that's a bad thing. You're a broken person. I love it. I'm a broken person because Allah has allowed my pieces to fall down, and now He's allowing me to put myself back together how I want to. Not by how society wants to. Not by how having trauma is not a bad thing. It sounds like a scary thing, but it's not because it allows you to see things for what they are. you go through what you have to go through, and then you grow through it, and you're able to now piece yourself back together. That's just a new perspective. Look, I'm not saying like, trauma is not a bad thing. Someone's just like, yeah, you got molested as a child. That's not a bad thing. How dare you? Like, I'm not saying that, right? But even if that did happen to you, subhanAllah, that was your test. That happened by Allah's permission as well too. Now, what are you going to do with that, right? Are you going to harbor that in, or are you now going to be an advocate for all children? And are you going to be an advocate for all people who've been through that and use that motion and now do something about it to fight for justice for everyone? Those are the same people. Right? A person who wants to harbor that feeling and internalize it and just like live with that every day versus a person who uses that as fuel to propel them. And they realize that this is my underdog story. I'm going to help the whole ummah now because that's why Allah allowed it to happen to me. I was abused at home, went through abusive relationships because Allah wanted me to go through that so I could be more relatable to the people. So that when the ummah feels that pain, I know what that feels like. The average person might not. Last episode we spoke about like drugs and these sort of things, a shiu, which is totally fine, obviously, might tell you that something's haram, right? But they never had that experience. And alhamdulillah, like Allah saved them from that. May Allah protect us all from that. But a person who's been through it, they have a little bit more like hands-on experience with that, right? Not saying one's better, but you understand what I'm saying. A person who's been through abuse, trauma, some type of childhood trauma, sexual trauma, something like that, they have a perspective that no other person can have. You understand? So when a person speaks to you about it, you're not just going to be like, oh, just have sabr. That's not just a cliche answer you're going to be give, right? You're able to elaborate a little bit more. So Allah allowed you to go through that. So tying it back in, I've realized how empty I was. And they just exposed how broken I've always been. I've been a broken man my whole life, starting from my childhood, starting from how I love and everything like that. And when Allah put me back into the dunya, I went back to what was making me whole before. Allah gave it to me even more, bro. Like the parties got even louder, bigger. I became even better. I got even crazier situations. I got even in cooler hijinks, everything. But I'm that same person who's the life of the party. Yo, SQ's here. I mean, they didn't call me SQ, they called me something else, but I'm here, popping bottles, doing all that sort of stuff. But that same person is at, 3:00 in the morning, driving home crying on the highway because I feel so empty and alone. I just wanted love. And I wasn't getting that. And I was chasing love. I was trying to find love in all the wrong ways because I was hurt. I was so hurt, And I admire Reverts, bro, because they they have so many unique stories and, they take that hurt, that whether that be spiritual hurt from previous religions that they might have been grown up on or whatever led them to Islam, and they allowed them to seek the truth, and they realized that it's not a person that they were missing. They weren't broken because of that trauma childhood. It was that connection with Allah. And that revert is searching for that. That person who came back to Islam realizes that what they're truly missing is the connection with Allah. And obviously that's what happened with me as well. Alhamdulillah.
I think this is the very important part to highlight because you do have a lot of born Muslims, like you have Rami, you have Faiyad, and they had their own awakening. They had their own part where it's like they realized like, damn, like something is missing. Like it could have been as simple as Rami, like your experience. You said that you were watching this video on, it was Shaitan, right?
Yeah, Iblis and how he became Shaitan.
And then this just made you see what?
Just, I just listened to it. I'm like, subhanAllah. Like I didn't say that at the time, but I was like, wow, this is interesting. This is cool. I'm like, let me look into this. And I just started watching more and more. And I'm like, this religion I was born on that I never practiced, this has something here. Kept going into it. I got to like David Wood videos, refutations to Islam, then rebuttals from Islam towards those refutations and handling all of them in such a beautiful manner, mashallah. And I was like, wow, this is it.
Isn't it so weird that this thing known as Islam that we were just put on from birth, right? And we just had it within arm's reach.
Yeah.
We didn't know the value of it until we knew the value of it.
Yeah.
Bro, and what was it for you?
Well, I know my mom and dad are watching this. They hate when I, talk about Jahiliyyah, bro. May Allah bless you for watching and always tuning in. But at the end of the day,
Make sure you subscribe, Mom and Dad.
oh,
Make sure you
they
hit
were the
thumbs
first
up.
ones.
Good.
they're the
That's
first
it.
ones, bro.
Alhamdulillah.
I think my parents are our biggest fans, bro. May Allah
That's
bless them.
beautiful.
But what I wanted to say was I had a similar story to you. we didn't even let him finish his story, but
No,
there's a little intermission right now. But I was deep into Jahiliyyah, doing XYZ, whatever that entails. I'll let you all use your imagination. But you shouldn't, because you should assume good of your brother. Stuck for Allah, bro.
Such a paradox.
Yeah.
I advise you, please do not expose your sins.
Yeah. So it's like going into that and just living a life that everyone else was living. Following what society was telling me. Believing their lies of this will get you happiness, this will get you enlightenment, this will get you fulfillment. Do this. Everyone's doing this. Don't be a party pooper, you know? Don't be boring and don't whatever. And in that time, I let that get the best of me. And it's just a very slippery slope. Because shaitan doesn't come to you in the thing you were talking about in the other episode, red horns, tail, pitchfork, none of that, bro. Shaitan comes to you as a disguise from your friend, from your close ones, from your loved ones, from your boys, from your homies, right? And before you know it, you're caught in it too deep. And when I was caught in it too deep, I let it get the best of me. And I was at a point where I was like, things were not looking good, bro. Let's say that. And I didn't think I would come out of that situation. And I did the only thing that my parents fully etched into me growing up. The only thing that they really hammered into me, which was dua. Is this, you know, they would always tell me, I was always an inquisitive kid, so I was like, what is dua? Mom and dad, what is dua? And they were like, you take your hands, you don't need to, but that's how they taught me. They're like, take your hands, you make a request, you cry out for help out of desperate need to Allah, the creator of the heavens and earth, and you request and you beg him for whatever you need. And you might get it, you might not, but you never stop making dua nonetheless. So was I in a state to be making dua? Probably not. Was I in a state for prayer? Probably not. Was I praying at the time? Who knows? But what I do know is it's like a fitra thing, you know? I knew at that moment, I have to. It's kind of like a person that's drowning, you know? There's a lot of people that, you know, when they fall into the water, they can't swim, right? They don't think about like, will I drown? Will I not drown? What's the buoyancy and all this nonsense? They're just like making all these, it's like a fitra, bro. It's like a survival mechanism. You know, like they do these things to just keep their head above water. Even if they're drowning, like they're still struggling, bro. It's like, you see in the movies when someone, you know, holds you underwater, you're doing it, right? And that's like the closest analogy I could give. It's almost like I knew in that moment, I just need to make dua. And I made dua to Allah. I was like, Allah, get me out of this situation. You know, I know I messed up. I'm the one that got myself into this situation. But Allah, ya Allah, if you're out there and you're listening, please help me out of this situation. And I will never, ever, 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 you know, be caught up in this nonsense ever again. And I'm not going to say I made a whole 180 and sell them a dream or anything like that. Although those miracles do happen to people. But for me, it was the first glimmer of hope or serenity, peace, calmness, tranquility that I've ever gotten in my entire life, let alone deep in Jahiliyyah. And I knew in that moment, two things. Number one, Allah doesn't owe us anything. Why did he give me that? And number two, well, to continue number one, not so I could take it for granted. But number two, I knew that even though how deep down the wrong, you know, direction I was, I knew that Allah is real. And it's just a fitra thing. I was never like atheist, maybe agnostic, but I was like, I knew Allah is real. And I know there's going to be a day of judgment. And I know that if I act like those atheists now, that Allah has given me this peace, and I go back into doing XYZ, I knew the next time I cry out to Allah, if he doesn't help me, then I can't say anything, bro, at that point. I can't be like, ya Allah, I was going to do it. And if Allah was to, you know, tell me that I helped you once, but then you did it again, you insisted, you went back on your word, I would literally just be caught dead, like in my tracks. I couldn't even say anything at that point. And I didn't want to test the mercy of Allah because I knew what happened when I, you know, just took things into my own hands. So in that moment, I was like, okay, I have to like turn my life around. And what's a man if he doesn't have his word, bro? So I had to keep my word with Allah, my pact or deal or truce or whatever you want to call it. Even though it's like apples and oranges, it's not an equal playing field. This is not a mutual agreement or anything. There's no contract, right? Allah didn't owe me this. Allah is the 100% responsible for me getting out of the situation, right? I had nothing to do with it. It was a mercy of Allah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't want to play around with that, bro. I don't. Call it love, call it fear, call it whatever. But it was me realizing at that moment then and there that I cherish this too much, bro. And I kind of did leave things cold turkey. And I know, we were talking about the reality of reverts and people leaving Jahiliyyah, Muslims finding Islam later. It's not always a cold turkey thing, right? But for me, it kind of was.
For me, it was not cold turkey. You go years by behaving a specific way. It's tough to just like give that up. But I will tell you one thing though. This time around, when I would do something haram, it felt bad. That was the difference. Like when I accepted Islam and like realized that this is the way I need to follow and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from me. Now those same things that were sins that before I never considered sins, I just thought it was a night out or it was just something to smoke, it's just something to drink.
Social thing, yeah.
Yeah, like nothing, I never thought twice about it. Now it started feeling wrong. I started feeling bad about it and I started feeling the actual effects of it, and I remember when I had just accepted Islam and started following it. One thing that I quit cold turkey, alhamdulillah, never had a problem with it, alhamdulillah, was drinking. I never liked it. I thought it was stupid. I just never liked the thing. I just knew it was something social that we had to do, and again, so many peer pressure societal stuff, and it's just bad. And it's expensive, guys. Like, oh my God, I could just go on about it. It's just a terrible thing. It's disgusting. I don't even have it's nasty. It's so disgusting. I can't say that enough. Okay. Anyways, and how you feel afterwards is just so sloppy. Come on. Okay. Here's the thing. If you really want to be put off from drunk people, right? Be the designated driver or that sober person, right? You will see people for what it is, and it is annoying. You're babysitting everyone, and you're just like, yo, this is so bad. And then you start realizing this is how I was doing this too. You just realize yo, this is not how I want to live. This is not how I want to be. So there were certain things for me that was totally easy to give up when I had turned back to Allah. But there were certain things for me that were extremely difficult. One thing for me that was extremely difficult was women. Women was so tough, bro. Just because I just love women. I don't know. It was just so tough. But going back to that point, when something wrong happened, it felt wrong. And that's an experience I didn't have before, where I would be coming back and I felt ashamed. I never felt shame before, doing it. It always felt like a badge of honor. I'm texting people, I'm, bragging about it. We're talking about what's going on in the body. That's what you're talking about. Now, I really wronged myself just now. Come on, what was that? What was that all about, And I never had that experience before. Prior to that, it was just can't wait to tell the boys about this. Now it's just I don't want anyone to ever know about this. This is just...
It was a natural thing that happened.
Oh, no, cover me up. Cover me up. And it's interesting because when Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam, they were exposed, the first thing that they got exposed was their clothes, that they were not wearing any clothes. And they immediately started covering themselves up because there was this haya that they had, And I think that that's what I experienced for the first time, a haya. Not first time ever, but first time that, I remember it now. Maybe last time was when I was a kid, but now when as a little bit more of an adult. So I realized this is bad. This is not good. And I remember my friend was just oh, so what are you doing? And I was just I was lying. I was nothing. I didn't want to even say anything. Before, it would be the opposite, And this was a big, big struggle for me. So I know out there, a lot of you are probably still stuck in a sin. It can happen. But just know that don't give up on yourself because Allah hasn't given up on you. And that's something that you got to remember. Allah hasn't given up on you and you shouldn't give up on yourself. Instead, turn that worry into worship a little bit more. What are you worried about? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you some pure resources. He's given you 7 pieces of bones that you can use to prostrate to him. You have your hands, you have your head, your nose, right? Your knees, you have your feet. You could just turn to him in full sincerity and he'll respond to you, right? Why are you so upset? Why are you giving up on yourself? You are not your sin. That's something people need to understand. You're not defined by your sin. Your identity is not your sin. Why did the Prophet Muhammad look how prophetic this was, right? And it's going back to what you said in the last episode about that triangle, about what was it that you said about how you think, how you feel?
Yeah, thoughts, feelings, and actions.
Thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? So you do bad, you feel bad, you think bad, and it's a loop, right? Okay, you did bad, haram, something wrong. Now you think bad, you feel bad, loop, loop, loop. What did the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say? He said, when you do a wrong action, replace it immediately with a good action. Change your state. Change your state immediately. Break that loop, break that feedback immediately. Why? Allah is the most forgiving. No one had to die for your sins and all. No. Don't worry. It's okay. Allah's nature is forgiving. Allah, by default, is very forgiving. His mercy is forgiving. So if you're someone out there, don't give up on yourself, because you're a journey. This is a story. This is a scar. This is something along the way. And you're going to look back at this and you're going to see your growth. Because as a new Muslim, there's going to be you have to be a little bit more flexible with yourself and realize that, look, there's a learning curve that I have to go through.
And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that every son of Adam is a sinner, bro. Like authentic narration. And the best of sinners are those that repent. So it's in our fitrah, bro, to mess up. It is. That's a reality, bro. A lot of people don't want to identify with that, but...
Yeah, I just think it's crazy that the plan of Allah is just, it's so perfect. And we only see it when we're looking back. We don't see it in the moment. We're looking back now and we can see it. Like, we I didn't say mine, but you guys said like what kind of, brought you back to Islam. And like for Rami, it was simple. Like he just watched the video, but like think about all the other stuff that had to happen in order to lead up to that. Think about Faiyad, your situation, all the stuff that had to happen for you to basically get into that moment where you had to cry out to Allah. Think about you, like what happened before you had to get to a moment where you had your heart broken. And it's like I had a whole bunch of stuff happen. I can't say that because before Islam I was engaged, and I saw this girl as like the one that I was gonna be married to, all this stuff, spend my life with, Christian woman. But it's like, bro, that didn't work out. Allah had I planned one thing, Allah planned another.
Yeah.
Right. And in the moment I couldn't see it, and I'm not gonna say that that's what led me to Islam, but that was a factor.
Yes.
So it's like it's crazy to see how all these things are just bringing us back to Islam, and I guess like the reason I wanted to bring that in is to tie it all together. Where it's like it doesn't matter if you're a revert.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a born Muslim. Like we're all going to the same place.
This
we
is the
all
path.
have the same path. Yeah.
It's the path, and your past is your path. And if we start making a different meaning of our past, because a lot of times shaitan will cause us to overthink our past, and think that maybe we're not even worthy of guidance. Maybe we're not worthy of it. You're gonna pray. You know what you was doing yesterday, and this is for people.
God,
like,
bro.
look, the way I look at myself is I'm a recovering sinner. There's certain people I can't be around, because they're going to trigger certain things about me. When you go to like AA meetings, right, for Alcoholics Anonymous, they tell you you're not allowed to be in the vicinity of alcohol. You can't, right? So if I know people are like maybe smoking weed around me, it doesn't matter how clean I've been for how long, I'm this close to relapsing at any given moment. Why? I have the muscle memory of how do you roll a blunt. I have the muscle memory of how do you break it. I have muscle memory. It's like getting back on a bike. I would know exactly how to do it. If I went to a bar, I would know exactly how to order a drink, right? You keep yourself away from these situations because you're a recovering sinner, right? So that's how I view myself. I'm a recovering sinner. I need to stay away from things, from people who lead me back, people who remind me of those things. And remember that our past has brought us on this path, and if you're someone who's trying to get better, because there's a lot of us, and reverts or someone who's just coming back to Islam, you might just have this streak of you doing great, but then shaitan comes. It is what it is, and you're gonna mess up. You might commit a minor sin, or it could be a major sin, right? And now he's gonna prevent you from coming back to him. And this reminds me of something. When Musa alayhi salam had come to the court of Pharaoh, and there was those two magicians, right? They were the chief magicians. They knew the magic. They knew it, right? He faced the top of the top, right? And when obviously Musa alayhi salam defeated it, they knew that this was something real. They accepted Islam. Okay, cool. And we knew that they died as martyrs. What honors, right? They were not only the first to accept Islam, but they also died that same evening as martyrs. Alhamdulillah. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive, right, magicians, people who were doing kufr and just wrong and shirk and this and that, you're someone who believes in Allah. You believe in His oneness. You believe that there's nothing worthy of worship except Allah. You believe that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the last and final messenger of Allah. You believe in all the messengers of Allah. What makes you think that He won't forgive you? Now, this isn't an invitation to just continue to sin. This is an invitation to remember to turn back to Allah. Don't allow your sin to hold you back. Don't allow this negative baggage, this emotional baggage. That's what I found, that there's a lot of negative emotional baggage that people carry around with them. Islam sets you free of them. When Khalid bin Walid came to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what took him so long to accept Islam was he had emotional baggage. He had this baggage from behind him. And when the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had his brother Khalid bin Walid came and he asked about, where's Khalid? And he said, Khalid's too intelligent to not be a Muslim. And then it was moments of that Khalid bin Walid came to Medina. And when he came over there, people were just shocked and surprised. This is a big deal. He comes and he says, take me to the Messenger's house. And then what was stopping him from accepting Islam, bro, was his baggage. It was his baggage. What was stopping him from coming on the right path? It was his baggage. And he came to the Messenger of Allah, and he said that, I've killed Muslims. I've killed Muslims. I've attacked you. I've done horrible things to you, right? I can be forgiven. And the Prophet Muhammad said, Ya Khalid, don't you know Islam forgives everything? So why are you holding it against yourself, right? Why, like, if Allah has forgiven you, why haven't you forgiven yourself? What's stopping you from forgiving yourself? Allah has forgiven you already. Forgive yourself as well. Move on, let go of that baggage, But Shaitan wants us to hold on to that baggage. He wants us to hold on to those prior identities that we had because he knows he could pull you back in and lure you back in. Let go of it. Allah forgives everything. Islam forgives everything. So what's there to worry about? You've done something wrong. Khalas, repent. Turn back to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold it.
So how was the actual journey coming back to Islam? Was it a smooth sailing type journey? Was it in waves?
Bro, what epic journey is ever smooth? Think about any movie that you love, we love it when the main character is going through it, right? Right when you think he's making it, boom, he falls again, right? Something else happens to them. They're making it, something else happens, bro. Life and journeys and epics and these amazing stories, we are the hero of our own story, It's not supposed to be easy. That was the first mistake. To think Jannah and all these things are easy. It's not supposed to be easy. The highway to hell is huge, is wide, In the authentic narration, and when, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angel to go check on the hellfire, when he seen it, he said that it's so wide that I feel like everyone will go to it. It has all the temptations. And when he was checked to see the Jannah, it's so narrow that I feel like no one's going to get to it, So it's never smooth, man. It's never smooth. I had to unlearn habits that I had. I had to unlearn things that I was taught by society on what is right from what is wrong. I had to let go of my own ego. I had to submit to Allah that Allah says this no matter what I think. I might think it's this, but Allah says it's that. I cannot justify my actions. I would rather just say, hey, listen, I'm weak, I'm struggling, but no justifying of the actions, And it definitely was not a smooth sailing journey. And I'm sure anyone watching home and listening home, it's not smooth for you. Easy. It's not. It's not smooth for you. And that's what makes your story epic. Embrace it. Embrace the fact that it's not smooth, right? Okay, think about this as a movie, right? That this is your main character. You're going through the worst time of your life right now. Okay, it's bad. Things are bad. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome, right? But now it's in the second half of the movie, and we know the second half of the movie gets better. Okay, things were like this, but now what happens? Tell the other side of your story. You've been focusing so much on this story and this narration. Now turn it around. Tell me what happens after that. Because once you start thinking that your story is improving, that's when it does start improving. And that's when you start putting your best foot forward and trusting in the plan of Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not disappoint you. There's no way someone's going to convince me that Allah will disappoint you. You're disappointing yourself, bro, by thinking that He will disappoint you. Allah won't disappoint you. Put your best foot forward.
And I love that you said that, bro, because it just, bro, it puts everything in perspective. And the thing that I'll add to it is people really gotta, take a step back and ask themselves, like, are they the main character in their lives? Like, do they see themselves as the main character, or are they a side character? Have they not been making the time for themselves? Have they been running away from all these things? Have they been? Because think about the main character. If it's truly a main character, the main character is gonna be taking care of himself. He's gonna be running towards Allah. He's gonna have Allah basically like they're gonna be, the guidance is gonna be on point. Everything's gonna be on point. But if you're like a side character, if you're like an NPC, if y'all are catching my drift here, like,
how dare you?
You're not gonna think about an NPC. An NPC just kind of like walking all over the place. They'll walk into the wall and they'll do this. Like they ain't really doing much.
And you know what? They don't allow themselves to take control of their lives. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't control your life, right? But you have to tie your camel, going back to that same example we've used, right? You know, a lot of times people want to be the victim and just blame Allah for their problems or blame their upbringing or the abuse or the trauma for their problems and all that sort of stuff. And look, we could have done that too. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have blamed the fact that no one picked him for the wet nurse and he was left all alone. That's a very sad story. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have blamed the fact that I was an orphan and no one ever loved me. And I was an orphan. I was adopted by my uncles. My cousins and everyone would eat in front of me and I'd be left with the scraps. Look at how many things. But what we love about it, it's that it's a underdog story and he rises to the top. So wherever you are right now, you can rise to the top. You know what I mean? Take control of your story. Take control of that narrative and don't allow, someone else to tell your story. Just regain control of the reins of that story. Say, Ya Allah, you're in control of this story of now. Let's turn this thing around. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to, grip it and get it back on course. And the funny thing about, the course is that you're making that right, but you have so much momentum from the failures from before that you're making the right, but it's not turning right. It's still moving to the other way. You look like you're going to crash, but you have to trust in Allah. Eventually that momentum will turn you in the right direction. You're just having that lag from before and you're in lag time from the previous failure, so you don't see the goodness right now. But it does take time. It does, and you have to be patient. You have to just know that, listen, there's a season for all these things. If you're hearing this right now, that means Allah wants the guidance for you. But you have to be willing to take it,
So what do y'all practically think is what people should start applying in this situation?
What situation?
Like, let's say someone's realizing, damn, like I am the main character in my life. Like, damn, I am the underdog. Like, I need to tie my camel, and I need to trust in Allah. I need to do something. I need to change. Like, what's the first step for them?
I'm gonna combine two things that brother SQ has said. I was gonna say your name real quick by accident, but
yeah, we would have to blip that one out.
Yeah,
that would be a bleep.
That's an uncensored thing that only we know, bro. Exactly, but we'll keep it between us. Yeah. But what I was gonna say is, you made this point before, that the Alcohol Anonymous thing, right? When you quit and you're in, let's say, therapy, rehab, you have withdrawal and all this, you don't put yourself back into the lion's den. You don't surround yourself back with these people that are doing the same thing, right? And we also talked in the car, bro, when we were going to get your frozen lemonade, that you never take one thing out. Yeah, show him that, bro.
You already know.
He's had
left hand, brother. No. Don't worry. You can drink with the right hand. Don't even try to do that.
That's the thing, bro. My man's talking at the takfiris, bro. Right away, bro. Like, so you look at the point that we were making in the car. You were saying that you don't replace one thing in your life, except that you don't remove one thing in your life, except that you replace it with something else. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna tie both of those points together that you mentioned. And it brings me to the point that y'all probably seen the episode with Brother Gabriel a few weeks ago, inshallah, about the whole his story, coming into Islam, the whole ex-Muslim thing. And what he was saying is a huge reason that reverts, when they come into Islam, or you want to kind of make yourself that main character, take your life in the control of your hands, put Allah first. A main reason they can't do that is they don't have that community aspect. They don't have the surroundings. Mm-hmm. So, how you were saying that, let's say you're getting your life together, you're leaving this. Mm-hmm. You're leaving this is back there, right? But if you're leaving that and you want to come this way and you want to kind of get your life together, how are you going to do that when you're not fulfilling a new foundation and a new environment? You're not cultivating change. All you're doing is you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to leave that and I'm just going to go here solo dolo. You're not here like, okay, I need to get new friends. Maybe I need to surround myself with those that are like-minded. Kind of like, let's say someone's broke all their life, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have money. They want to become a millionaire. Anyone can, inshallah, by the will of Allah. Mm. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to leave these bums, but I'm just going to work on myself alone, Can it be done? Of course. Underdog stories, happen solo. But if you surrounded yourself with millionaires, with people that are making it, you get mentors, you get help. It's a different ball game, bro. And that's what Gabriel was saying. The most important thing, in his opinion, above all else, once you find out you want to, take your life into this direction, come back to Allah, turn back to Allah, is surround yourself immediately, bro. Because human beings, as much as we don't want to admit, we'd rather be following a wrong path, but have environment surrounding us, community, than be following the right path, but be the only one.
Rami, what are your thoughts, bro?
I agree wholeheartedly with what Faiyad said. I think it's very important that we have that community aspect. The only thing that really comes to mind, I've had these ayats of the Quran really playing on my head, subhanAllah, and I think it beautifully ties with them.
He wasn't just quiet, guys. He's going through it. He's thinking about these ayahs, mashallah.
I actually had to pull them with my phone to make sure I had them right.
MashaAllah.
So if he's-
Yeah, he's not texting no one. Don't worry, guys. He's engaged. He's engaged.
But subhanAllah. So firstly, I want to say if when people realize that they're the main character of their life, they have to also realize that they're mainly, and by mainly I mean solely, accountable, right? So this is
tough.
not, this is not something like, oh, I'm the main character, I'm the man. It's like you're also the man that's going to be punished if you don't perform, right? And you need to keep that in mind. And wallah, it's very powerful verses in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Najm. This is the surah that all the Quraysh, everyone, even the non-Muslims, put their head in prostration towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except one man who brought dirt to his forehead instead.
Wow.
After this recitation.
Subhanallah. Go ahead.
Yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أفرأيت الذي تولى وأعطى قليلا وأكدى. He says, have you seen the one who turned away? He gave a little bit and then he refrained, right? He gave a little bit, he did a little bit, he worked a little bit, and then he stopped. Allah says, أعنده علم الغيب فهو يراه. Does he have knowledge of the unseen? أم لم ينبأ بما في صحف موسى, or has he not been informed of the scripture of Moses alayhi salam? Then he says, وإبراهيم الذي وفى, and Abraham, and notice how he describes Abraham, and Abraham alayhi salam, who fulfilled all of his tasks. He fulfilled all of his obligations, every single one. We know the story of Musa alayhi salam. He was commanded to slaughter his son. He did it like that. Even his son was like, do it, go ahead.
Musa alayhi salam or Ibrahim alayhi salam?
Ibrahim alayhi salam. Did I say Musa?
Musa alayhi salam.
My bad. Yeah,
No, we don't.
Yeah, Ibrahim alayhi salam. Yeah.
That lemonade got you. Don't worry.
Alhamdulillah. Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? He did it just like that. He fulfilled all his obligations, right? And then this part, man. عَلَى تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وَزِرَ أُخْرَى. And that in the scriptures also it says that every soul is accountable for whatever they earned,
For the deeds,
for what they did. So if you're the main character, you're also the person who's going to be punished for what you do. And that you can't give a little bit, because it's easy in the beginning. You guys ever know the Kruger effect? You ever heard of that?
No, tell us.
The Dunning-Kruger effect, there's a chart, right?
Put a picture, bro. Editor.
Yeah,
Go
put
on.
it, so I don't have to show the
that.
camera. So I can show it to you guys.
Yeah.
So you start anything new, right? You're here, you're at the beginning. Your confidence, when you do the first bit, you learn the first bit, is through the roof, like 100%. And then the more you do and the more difficult you realize it is, it goes down, 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 down. And then you go into what they call like the pit of despair. You're actually negative. You're depressed with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I know we've all felt this with something we've done.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. Many things. I think maybe even most things we've tried in life, we felt this.
Yes.
In most things, I don't think we come out of it. We end it there. Most people do, unfortunately. But if you keep going, the more you learn, the more confident you get. And eventually you get back up maybe 80, 90% confidence, but you never go back to 100 because you realize, that you'll never know everything. And that's a good state to be in. You're confident, but you're humble as well, right? Some people, when they come to Islam, they're very, especially like the Arabs, when they come back, they're very fired up. MashaAllah, they have this fire. They're doing good. And then it's like, man, I miss being with a woman. I mean, and all this stuff. And subhanAllah, it's like, أَفَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي تَوَلَّى. Have you seen the one who turned away? They gave a little bit and then they refrained. Then they turned back in the end.
That's literally the Kruger effect, bro. SubhanAllah.
Exactly.
I just wanna give some quick praise, bro. MashaAllah. Tabarakallah, bro. To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but mashallah to Rami, who, because we're on the topic about, hard work and not giving up. Bro, this is your first time meeting us, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you think he's a native Arabic speaker.
Yeah.
He's not. He didn't grow up learning Arabic. You didn't speak Arabic, did you?
No.
He doesn't know how to read Arabic. He doesn't know how to speak Arabic. He's not a native Arabic speaker. So when he's doing these, reciting the Quran, talking about ayah, translation, all this, it's all hard work, bro. It's so much harder for someone that doesn't speak Arabic. Like, I'm assuming you, me, Anghel, right? And that's him too included.
Wow, subhanAllah.
No?
Going back to what you said about that dip, in fact, this is the time where most people quit. But the ones who get up and realize that I need to pull my resources together and recognize that they're in that dip period, those are the ones who are able to survive. Because if you don't realize you're in the dip, this is normal. For you to go through that little sucky period, it's normal, right? It's a completely normal effect. But that's when people want to quit the most, right? So, for example, let's suppose someone's trying to start a podcast, right? There's a sucky period in a podcast, right?
Bro.
Someone's trying to start a YouTube channel. It's just a terrible period where at first it's all excited because you're learning how to edit and maybe you got your first few subscribers and then it's just like no one's watching the videos. But that's the time where, you know, this is one of my favorite sayings, you know, the froth from the juice is separated. You know, that's what separates you from everyone else. That's the time where you need to go all in on your resources and get out of that dip and prepare to go in that dip process and structure and just know that this thing is going to happen. And, you know, you said it best, brother, and you quoted the Quran in a beautiful manner, mashallah, barakallah, that, you know, everyone has to be accountable for themselves. Take matters in your control and realize that, look, and think about it. Any problems that we put themselves in us. Like, yeah, Allah allowed it to happen, but you did it. Whatever problem you're going through is something that you created from your own hands. And Allah's mercy, He will get you out of that problem as well, too, if you turn back to Him sincerely and such. So taking control of your life means you're taking full accountability of your situations. Now, again, going to the other side of things about going to the trauma issues, because someone might be like, I'm supposed to take accountability of me getting, you know, sexually abused, whatever. No. That's not what I'm saying. You don't, that's obviously something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a huge test, a huge challenge that you have to go through. But notice what is in your control is how you respond to that challenge. Again, going back to it, have you become an advocate? The voice for the people, the megaphone, the speaker for all little girls and boys who've been through that. You know, have you become the megaphone for them? Are you their voice now? Because that's your choice. That's your control. That's accountability. You could do that. But yes, you had no control of what happened to you as a child. It wasn't your fault. But right now, are you going to use that to propel you to take you to the next level? Because we all need to be accountable for what's in our control. You know, not everything is in our control, obviously. It's in Allah's control. But the things that are in your control, take accountability of that and just push yourself to the next level.
100%. And I think going back to the discussion of accountability is perfect because I actually need to correct myself, right? So it's doubly perfect. Jazakallah khair, may Allah bless you. And I was going to say, when you mentioned that, all the Arab speakers, right, all the Arabi speakers probably picked up on some mistakes I made. And that last bit, actually, I made a mistake there. So, أَلَا تَزِرُ وَانْزِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى actually means that no soul will be burdened with the sin of another. So accountability right there. And then the next one is وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. And that's the one that says, and every soul will get what they earned. So just I wanted to correct myself on that. May Allah forgive me for that little slip, but alhamdulillah, I corrected it.
That's in one of my favorite recitations. It's by Omar Hisharam.
Omar Hisham.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
I forgot which surah it is, but it says
Surah
at the
An-Najm.
very end.
Surah An-Najm, it's close to the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Towards the end, yeah.
Yeah. SQ, bro. Talk to the people, man. There's two things we commonly get from DMs, bro. Is the whole thing about doubts and then the whole thing about family. Because we have stories from Ibrahim alayhi salam from the Quran about how he would talk to his father. The ihsan, the adab that he would have. However, the difference in ideology, in belief, stark contrast. We have stories about Lut alayhi salam, and there's so much stuff. You know, when you get on your path, on deen, you're kind of leaving your family behind, but not really when you're a revert. It's a techie situation, right? So do you want to go into that?
Just really quick about that, and this goes back to the original topic that in the beginning we spoke about, like abusive households and stuff like that. You know, you mentioned something that you were told, you know, off camera a while, that, you know, they've shown you how to, what was that you said? They've shown you how to be a father or how not to be. You said something like that, like an abusive parent, something.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's the parents. Okay, so basically, I knew a brother who was abused by his father, right? And this brother was not abusive towards his kids, and I always found that interesting, right? So I would always go to him. I was like, bro, how are you literally like the polar opposite of your father? Because I see most people just the cycle of hatred, the cycle of abuse, the cycle of trauma, whatever. And he basically said there's two types of people. One of them says, I abused my kids because I got abused as a kid. And the other one says, I don't abuse my kids because I got abused as a kid.
You see, when you mentioned the story about Ibrahim alayhi salam, that's the beauty of it. He grew up in an abusive household. Look at his dad. Look, his dad tried to kill him. Right? That's an abusive father. Let's just get this down pat, guys. That's an abusive father. His own dad is taking him to get him burned in the fire. Think about that for a second. But look how he turns out with his son. His sons, right? Both of his sons, an amazing dad, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards him with such an obedient son. Like, hey, that he had the revelation of that he was going to slaughter his son with no contest, just wanted to do that, And a lot of times parents even might be like, listen, that's how a son should be. That's how it should be. Look at how Ibrahim alayhi salam did it. And look how his son just submitted and just obeyed their father. Didn't say oof, didn't say nothing like that. But you're also forgetting this father-son project that they did called building the Kaaba together. Parents, have you spent time with your children? Have you really? Because Ibrahim has spent a lot of time with his son, a lot. They got to know each other a lot. Father-son building activity. They were building some treehouse. They're building the Kaaba. They got to know each other. Their relationship got so much better. So if you're wondering why your children aren't, doing whatever they have to do and they're not being obedient to you, ask yourself, have you taken interest in what they want? Right? And in return, inshallah, you will see the blessings and all that sort of coming around. But going back to your point, right? Ibrahim alayhi went through an abusive household. He was in an abusive household, right? Think about this. As a child, he's abused by his father. Look what he did. His father literally put him at the stake. But he didn't turn out that way. And that just shows that, your circumstances does not dictate your future. Your circumstances do not dictate how you're going to be. It's accountability. You hold yourself accountable and just know that I am choosing to do this, and I would rather, move out of love than hatred. And that's how I want to be. I want to move with love in mind, and my first step would being love rather than hate and, negativity and bearing bad feelings from my past.
See, I get that, bro. But what I was referring to were the people in the DMs that we're talking about. Let's say I accepted Islam now, and my mom found out and kicked me out.
Oh, wow. That's tough.
Because I accepted Islam, and my dad found out, and he cut me off.
Wow.
He blocked me.
Wow.
It's been a year. They haven't spoken to me.
That's tough.
And we got Ustad Gabriel Romani on the podcast, and he was talking about the same thing. When he accepted Islam, it took him years, bro, to just tell his parents. And he wasn't even like a dependent to them, and it was tough.
Wow.
So imagine people living under their parents' roof.
You know what? Not only is it what a test, but look how close to the Sahaba they actually are. Think about that. Look how close to the actual Salaf their lifestyle actually is. If you look back at the companions who dealt with this exact issue, we never had to, but look at their struggle. Look at their reward that they're going to get, and look how close to the deen of how it started off, they actually are to the bare roots for the foundations, for the fundamentals, right? It's almost a form of like halal jealousy, like, wow, like that's something you have to go through. But this is the interesting part. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going back to the ayah, He wouldn't like test a soul or a person with more than what they can handle, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that you could handle that, but Brother Rami couldn't. So he didn't get tested with that. Brother SQ didn't get tested with that. You did, because you're stronger than me in that regard. You understand? You had a different test to how to come to Islam versus how I did, versus how a person who's getting kicked out by their family is. That just shows that your level of forbearance is at a different level than the average person. So if you have to do something that's above average, your reward is going to be above average too. It's not going to be the same as ours. Your reward is at a higher level, right? Your struggle is at a higher level. So why wouldn't your reward be at a higher level too? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you. That should give us, comfort. When Musa alayhi salam in Surah Taha approaches the cave, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals himself and all that sort of stuff, and he gives him this mountainous task. Mountainous, right? That you're going to go to Pharaoh and you're going to tell him there's nothing worthy of worship. Like the whole thing, right? Now, look, you could, this is the time where you just self-doubt. Allah, really me? Like, you sure? That's not what happened, right? Instead, he embraced the challenge, right? That's something we've left that. We've stopped embracing the challenge. Embrace it. Wow, this is the challenge you're giving me, Allah. So what did Musa alayhi salam say? Instead of complaining about his circumstances, situations, I don't know, they have a bounty on my head, I don't know. قَالَ رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي. Right? He acknowledged that this can only happen if you expand my chest and you make my affairs easy for me. So Allah, if you have put me in a situation where I'm in a household where my parents don't want to accept me and they might kick me out, Allah, you put me in this situation, so give me the strength to deal with it. You give me the strength and you expand my chest because this is your responsibility. You put me in this. So Allah, grant me that. And out of humility, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Expand my chest for me, right? And make my affairs easy for me. He's talking to Allah directly. Make my affairs easy for me. Expand my chest for me. Right? And just talk to Allah. Like, Allah, you put me in this situation because you knew this was best for me. This is a mountainous task for me. Allah, without your help, I can't do it. So Allah, I need your help the whole way. But never ever doubt that you can't do it. Don't doubt that. Because that's not what Musa al-Islam did.
I'm shocked, man. MashaAllah. Have you ever gotten doubts, bro, on your journey?
I think that's a very normal thing, right? Like, I think
who hasn't, bro? I have. Rami, it's such a normal thing, but how does that work, bro? Because Gabriel was talking about it as it's rarely like a logical thing. So he was saying that there are things that he intellectually would like address, you know? Because I'm sure you see all these clowns on YouTube, all these people, you know, talking, you know, taking things out of context. And they've all been refuted time and time and again. But Gabriel was saying that even though he rationally refuted these doubts, there was still like a seed that was planted inside, and he just couldn't get it. And bro, I myself, I don't want to talk too deep into doubts, but I would always have this one doubt, bro. It's a kind of weird doubt. It's like an intrusive thought, but it was like, what if, like, you know, Islam is just like the highest level of like. So have you heard of Elon Musk's simulation theory?
No, not really.
So basically, I think Rami knows about it, right? So Elon Musk basically said that in the simulation theory that a proposed, I guess, atheistic model is that the world was created by chance, obviously, but we were created by, like, we were programmed in a way by like a video game by these beings or these more intelligent, right? But Rami would talk about how, like, you know, if that happened, then who created them? You know, like, it would lead to infinite regression, right? And we had to be created by an uncaused cause. You know, and that kind of gave me peace, right? But I was like, I still got caught in that loop though. Like, what if it's just like a simulation? Like, we were just created, like, we made video games. Like, we made Super Mario Bros. And all this nonsense, right? And these things, these 2-dimensional pixels in the game were created by us. What if that was the same thing? By like a more super intelligent form of consciousness or life, and they created us. And this kind of tripped me out for a long time. And it for a long time, I could intellectually refute it and find peace and comfort in Allah and Islam, but it never really went away until one day it did. But for me, it was doing active, voluntary acts of worship coming closer to Allah that got it away. But when I talk to other people and reverts, for them, they did other things. For some of them, these things never went away. So do you have anything like that?
You know, there's a narration of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ about when it comes to doubts of the shaitan, and perhaps, Brother Rami, you might know about this better, about when the shaitan comes to you with a specific type of doubt. And I read this somewhere, and maybe someone in the comment section could help us out with this as well too, about how the shaitan has left certain aspects of things, and he comes to you with these doubts. And there was a statement that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us to say, which sort of just dissolves the entire situations, right? And the main concept is that you believe in Allah and His Messenger. Forget about all these intellectual stuff and all that. At the end of the day, when you boil it all down, if you believe that there's only one creator and Muhammad ﷺ is the final messenger of him, that's all you need.
You're Muslim.
That's all what you need, right? That level of thinking, you're not ready for that yet. You're not ready for that type of thoughts. You're not ready for those type of movements. Focus on what you do know, and any type of doubts that you have, leave them aside right now. Focus what you actually do believe in. You believe in Allah and His Messenger, then that's sufficient for you. That's enough for you. You don't need to go down these paths and all that stuff. And bro, look at the person that you have to quote right now, Elon Musk. Elon Musk.
He himself is lost. Yeah.
He himself is lost. He named his child a keyboard, like he just said, "Here, that's my child's name." You know what I mean?
Is, yeah.
Like, look who you have to quote and remember: a creation himself, who's trying to give you an idea. When we should be, hey, what did the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ say about doubts? What did he say about that? And look at our knowledge. Look at how much it lacks that, I don't even know what I would have to do in the situation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from doubts, but we need to focus on what we know that is certain. Anything that's doubt, you leave it, right? Anything that's doubtful, you leave it. That theory you don't understand, leave that alone because that's not helping you in the situation. It doesn't do anything for you. Like, what value is that really providing for you? You're telling me that we're in some stimulation, some game. You really believe that there was this alien-like creatures? Like, come on, this is not a science fiction movie. Like, if you really think about it, like, come on, cut it out, right? But you leave what it is for the sake of Allah, and you just focus on what you do know. That you know that it's Allah and His Messenger, and that's it. I'm gonna look this up too. I have to look it up now.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Khalas, bro. Y'all got any more questions or should I keep going? No. Okay. Now you have this.
What time is it?
You got 59 minutes, bro. Inshallah. A few more minutes and then wrap up. So you got a brother or sister, let's say, that's born into Islam, or they're a revert. You know, they come into Islam. They're trying to come back to the right path. And a lot of them are mentally convinced that Islam is the truth,
Okay.
but they don't want to do the hard work. I hear this in a lot of people. I don't want to air the brother's name that, you know, tells me this a lot, or the sister's name that tells me this a lot, because this is such an important thing. But they're like, I have so much faith in Islam that I know it's the truth, but why do I need to pray? It's in my heart. Like, why do I need to pray? Because I already believe in it.
That's a very good point. That's a good point. And I want to mention this right now, right here, right? Anyone interested in knowing this? You know, I've been chewing this miswak the whole time, just going about it, brushing and all that sort of stuff, right?
MashaAllah.
If I were to, oh, mashallah, if I were to just tell you, right, without brushing my teeth, without miswak, without nothing, that I've eaten everything all day. Mashallah, you fed us. You know, mashallah, barakallah, made amazing food. You know, we ate all these sweets, we had all these things, and I told you my teeth are clean. You'd look at me and be like, that's not true. I said, yeah, no, it's clean. You'd be like, did you brush your teeth? No. And did you do some miswak? No. How can you say your teeth are clean? It's because I feel it. My teeth are clean. They're clean. And you'd be like, no, there's an actual process of cleanliness that you have to perform on your teeth to make that claim. If you say that my heart is good, my heart is clean, the question is, how did you brush your heart? Because salah is the purifier of your heart. Salah purifies your heart. It's the cleanser of your heart. Because guess what happens if you don't cleanse your heart? The same way if you don't cleanse your teeth. It's not the sweets. Oh, I'm giving you guys a dental lesson right now, mashallah, barakallah. It's not the sweets that cause the cavities. It's the acidity from the sugar that causes the cavity, and its untreated nature. When you don't treat the acid, you leave the acid, it rots the plaque of your teeth, the enamel of your teeth, and you develop a cavity, right? It's the acid. So you're thinking here, oh, my heart is clean. Well, Habibi, what did you do to clean your heart? What did you do? Right?
Source, trust me.
No, but this is the question, right? Yeah. How did you clean your heart? You're saying your heart is clean. Okay, tell me that process. So adhkar, did you clean your heart? Dhikr, did you clean your heart? Quran, did you clean your heart? The 5 daily prayers, did you clean your heart? If you didn't say that, that means your heart is already catching a cavity and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. You think that it's not. And guess what? Our version of cavity is what? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said. That there's this tiny black dot that just gets put on your heart. A tiny one. A very tiny, tiny, tiny black dot that gets put on your heart. Every sin you commit. Until your heart is fully covered with black dots.
There's no turning back.
Bro, and that's the time, the only thing that could clean it, and that's why the process is called tazkiyah, the cleansing of the heart. You have to cleanse the heart. No one can sit here and tell me that their heart is clean and they don't need to pray because my heart is good, I have a good heart. Who said your heart is good? What treatments have you given to your heart to say it's good? You understand? If we keep dyeing our hair, I mean, like I told you, I don't got any, but if we keep dyeing our hair, you know what I mean? We keep dyeing our hair. We keep bleaching it. Women who do that, they bleach their hair again and again and again. Your hair eventually dies. So eventually the salon person, the hairdresser will be like, listen, you need to stop that process. You know, you need to start putting the conditioner on and all that sort of stuff, right? But no, my hair is going to be fine. You can't say that.
Can't.
What would you say to the heart? The same thing. If you're saying that my heart is clean, the question is, how have you been cleaning it? Where is the toothbrush for the heart? Where is your brush for the heart? Because the brush for the heart, according to Islam, is that salah that you're saying that you already done. So the same way that you need a toothbrush to clean your teeth, a miswak to clean your teeth, you need something to cleanse your heart. And for us, the cleanliness, the cleansing of the heart, the purification of the heart is the salah, is the sadaqah, is these things that is following and obeying Allah. Because when you're not obeying Allah by not praying, you're getting the dots on your heart. So you're tricking yourself to believe that you know your heart's clean, this and that, until one day your teeth are falling off, you're getting infections, so on and so forth. And the infections of the heart or come in what form? Sadness, depression, anxiety, loneliness, lack of contentment.
Which society is normalizing, by the
Yes.
way. Oh, everyone has it.
Yeah. And yes, these thoughts do come about. But when you have the azkar, when you have the purification, when you have the dua process, you're able to heal the heart. So the question to her or to anyone thinking this is, how have you been cleansing your heart? How have you been?
And we're not negating the fact that it's supposed to be hard. We agree it is a lot. It's
Oh,
a huge
yes.
change, you know?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, that's the thing. Like you were talking about, you know, cavities, diabetes, blood pressure. Bro, we're desi.
Yeah.
This stuff runs in our family left,
Yeah,
right, and center.
for real.
But here's the thing. You could be off course with your nutrition, with your program, with your fitness, everything, first couple of decades of your life. You're not going to be out of shape. You're not going to be diseased. You're not going to be on prescription medications. It catches up to you sooner or later. It's kind of like the silent killer, right? And that's the thing. Yes, praying 5
High blood
times a
pressure
day.
is known as a silent killer.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, you are required to pray 5 times a day. You might not do it overnight. You are required to, you know, let's say men and women have their aura, you know, hijab for men and women. Yes, we got to fast in Ramadan. It's tough, bro. Listen, being a born Muslim that was born into Islam and fasting since a young age, bro, I still feel some type of way during Ramadan. It's tough. I still do it though, but it's tough. And you as a revert, I'm sure you can relate to it, that it's so tough. You know, the whole memes about not even water and all this. Yes, bro, not even water. It's tough. And we're not saying it's supposed to be easy. And we're not saying, oh, you know, just toughen up and stop being a wimp about it. Just do it. We understand it's tough, bro. We're going through the same thing.
But if you've signed up for Islam, just know that this is a part of it. You're not going to change. You're not going to do things. You're not going to change the religion. By you saying that, but why do I have to pray and all that sort of stuff, that's changing the religion, you know? And you have to realize that this is your nafs speaking. This is not you. This is your nafs speaking.
What are nafs for a lot of laymen?
Nafs is that carnal desire. You see, my bro, this is what we need to realize, that the shaitan, we have two enemies. Obviously, one is shaitan, and one's our nafs, the nafs al-amara, the nafs that only gets satisfied when it displeases Allah. Think about this.
Subhanallah.
This is the nafs that only gets happy when it displeases Allah. It only feels complete and satisfied when it displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it, I believe, in Surah Al-Qiyamah about nafs al-amara, right? I believe so. Someone correct me, please. I could be wrong. I'm not the one that should be quoting over here. That's Rami. Okay, let's leave it at that. Okay, but someone correct me, right? But the nafs al-amara is the nafs that calls you to disobey Allah. So you're following your nafs. You're following that desire that only gets happy to disobey Allah. Like it gets happy to be lazy at the time of prayer. It gets happy. It's satisfied. It's satisfied when you don't pray to Allah. It's satisfied when you don't remember Allah. That's what makes it happy, right? It's this self-sabotaging mechanism that's within us that shaitan uses to operate, to poke holes in us, that allows him to just use us like a little puppet. That's why when he's even locked up for the major jinn, are locked up in the month of Ramadan, shaitan's locked up in Ramadan, why are we still committing sins? Because not only are we on autopilot, but we have the nafs al-amara. You know, we have that nafs that causes us to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's what we're following, we're listening. And he's put so much, you know, waswas in our hearts and in our ears and all that sort of stuff that, you know, this negative self-talk and this voice is causing us to be lazy. So when you find yourself lazy, just know that this is a part of the shaitan. This is a part of his plan to make you disobey Allah, right? And that thing that you find yourself lazy for, Allah gave you that. Like that thing that you're ignoring, to the thing that you're using to ignore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah has given you that thing that you're doing. Ignoring Allah with, you know what I mean? So like, we just really need to, this is the main thing, bro. Making Allah a priority and not an option, because that thing that you're doing is your priority and Allah has become an option. Let's just keep it 100 with each other, right? Like you've made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala an option and you have to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a priority. And you might say that, but why do I have to pray and all that? Because the truth is you've prioritized your life, your dunya, and you have made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala an option. And that's just what it is. And the only way we can make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into a priority is when we acknowledge the current state that we're in. And that's what it would have to be.
See, people can agree in this day of social media, there's so many apps, right? For example, I got SQ on Instagram, bro. I got SQ on, you know, all these apps. Where do I message you most? iMessage.
Yes.
Why?
It's just direct contact.
Direct contact. I have some people, though, I'll hit them up on Snapchat, nothing else.
Yeah.
I have some people, I hit them up on Instagram, nowhere else. I know, Anna's falling asleep over here, mashallah, may Allah bless you. I know that for every single person I have in my circle, there's a preferred method of communication, not just a preferred method, but a direct communication where I know they'll see that message, they're on this app more.
Here we go.
Here's the thing, Rami always mentions this, that we know that the most beloved acts, Allah loves the most beloved, the things that He has made obligatory. Right? Meaning the most obligatory things that we have to do in Islam, such as salah, zakat, Ramadan, fasting, all that type of stuff. All of those things Allah loves the most. Then the slave does voluntary things until he gets closer to Allah. But hear me out. So you're here noticing this person likes to be messaged on Instagram more. This person will only reply if I email them. This person replies only if I text them. This person I can only call. They don't text. But here I know Allah wants me to pray salah because He has made it obligatory, meaning He loves it the most. But I'm going to choose to just tell myself I love Allah and just not do anything about it. Or I'm going to do other things. Bro, it doesn't work like that at the end of the day.
If you truly loved Allah, you would be praying. That's just
That's
what
a
it
tough pill to
is.
swallow.
Because if you love Allah, if you love like let's suppose like bringing this to obviously an example to a person, like when you love someone, especially in the beginning of relationships, you really do anything for them, right? You do things to please them, so on and so forth. When we love Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to get to know Him more. You want to get closer to Him and all those things, right? And just remember out there, don't try to change the religion around, but mainly just remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the deeds that are consistent. So start with that one prayer. And just take it from there. See, and just build on top of that prayer, right? And just build that sort of momentum, that positive momentum, right? Build your stamina, that spiritual stamina. Build that up a little bit by getting more consistent with your deeds, right? Don't think that you have to hit all 5 immediately. It's all 5 or nothing, right? We spoke about this. No, start with that one. Start with that one that's the most easiest to you, right? Perfect that. Add another one, right? Perfect that. And Allah, just watch how Allah makes it easy for you because He knows you're striving in His direction. But don't ever think that you could just abandon them all and Allah's Ghafur Rahim and all that. The first thing that the son of Adam will be questioned about is the prayer. So don't play around with that. Start with that consistent action. And guess what? You start with the niyyah that, look, I'm going to start with 1, inshallah, and I'm going to keep building it, and then 2, 3, and I'm going to keep building my stamina until I get to 5. And then guess what? You die in that process. Allah knew the niyyah and where you're directing towards. You get me? He knows where you're headed towards. So you don't want to die in a condition where, I don't have to pray, versus you're trying. And we always want to die in a condition that we're trying. And going back to what you said, take control of your life. Don't be a victim over here. Don't be in all that, you know what I mean? And everyone will be responsible for what they have done.
Ameen.
So, as much as I would love to, tie this up, would you say that that's how someone develops that love for Allah? Or would you say there's something else? Because you said that was an important part. It's like if you love Allah, then you're not going to be missing the prayer. You're actually going to make an effort. So how would someone actually have that love for Allah? To me, it seems very simple, but for another person, it might not.
What do you think?
You have to get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I say, I love Anghels so much. I gave a similar example last episode, 4 months ago. But, if I say, I love Anghel, mashallah, he's my best buddy. I love him. And you're like, oh, really? Well, when's his birthday? I'm like, I don't know. Okay, well, what kind of hobbies do you have? I'm like, how am I supposed to know that? It's like, well, you have a nickname for him? I'm like, I don't even know how to spell his actual name, bro. It's like, how do you love this person?
Was this lip service that you love him and he's your bestie, or is it you really
Exactly.
his bestie?
Yeah, you actually ride or die.
Yeah, and there are actually, that's a good example because there are people like, I love that person. Oh yeah, he's great. I love him.
Fake.
They actually don't know him, so it is fake, 100%. So you want to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you get to know him.
Yeah.
You get to know him. And to get Allah to love you back, you have to please him. You have to do work for him.
Yeah.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So how would this person get to know Allah?
Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy. He describes himself in the Quran. You read the words of Allah, kalam Allah, in the Quran, right? You get to know his 99 names, his attributes, what he's done for you and other people, right? Like the hadith of the man who killed 99 people and so on and so forth. You get to learn about these characteristics of Allah and what they mean. And it's very in-depth, subhanAllah. I'll give a small example. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. These are 2 of the most commonly used names for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, right? Surah ar-Rahman, right? Inna Allah Ghafur Rahima, right? Beautiful. What does it actually mean? If you look at Rahma, people say the root of Rahman ar-Rahim is Rahma, but Rahma has a root as well, which is Rahim. Rahamim. And Rahim is the womb of a mother. And Allah decided to use that term, right, the womb of a mother, to describe himself, you know, like, and if you look at the womb of a mother, it provides everything that the baby needs, everything, protection, nourishment, a place to grow, so on and so forth. Rahim, right? And Allah uses that to be Ar-Rahman, or to refer to himself as Ar-Rahman. And Ar-Rahman specifically is the one who's generally merciful to everyone, just because he's, you know, they're the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existing on this earth. That's what Ar-Rahman is. I wake up in the morning, a non-Muslim wakes up in the morning, I get food, they get food, I drink water, they drink water. He's Ar-Rahman, right? Ar-Rahim is a specific type of merciful. Ar-Rahim is, you see translated as especially merciful. It's the people who go out of their way to please Allah. They go out of their way to get that special extra mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that mercy on the Day of Judgment as well. So when you break it down like that, it's like, I know so much more about Allah now just by understanding what Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim is.
Very
deeper.
good point. And you're hitting it on the head, bro. It's a disease in the heart. There's a disease in the heart that stops us, and we have to purify our heart. The number one thing that we need to do, and how at least I would like to think about it, is make the niyyah, make the intention, ask Allah, call out to Allah, fill my heart with your love. Make me learning about your attributes easy for me, Allah. Fulfill my heart with your love and pleasure, Allah. Allow me to understand who you are, and help me, Allah, discover you. Help me learn more about you, Allah. Make this path easy for me, Allah. Be pleased with me. You're purifying your heart right now, and you're actually calling out to Allah. And just watch. I genuinely believe that when your heart is seeking true guidance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously will not deny that.
And there's this one thing that I want to end on. You mentioned this one dua that Allah will never reject, which is what?
It's the dua of guidance.
Go into that.
The dua of guidance. You know, we know that our duas, some may get accepted. They all get accepted. Like, Allah hears all of them. He accepts them, right? But they might not manifest. Like, some manifest in this dunya, right? Some will manifest in the hereafter because Allah was saving you. And some will, you know, protect you from a calamity that was happening.
What do you mean by that?
So basically, a calamity was coming your way, and your dua was going up, and the dua met the calamity, and khalas, it was like a neutral effect. Understand? But there's one dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never ever rejects, and it's a dua that will always come true for you, and that is the dua of guidance. That is a dua that will always get accepted. So don't ever think that that's not. When you ask Allah for guidance of your heart, when you ask Allah for guidance for your spouse, when you ask guidance of your children, when you ask guidance for your the happiness of your home, and anything related to guidance and just goodness in that direction, Allah will always, always, always accept that dua, which they're all good, but you will see the manifestation of that guidance, and it will always come true.
Alhamdulillah.
When you said the whole purification of the heart, man, it reminded me of the series that Abu Taymiyyah made. Have you guys seen that?
No,
On YouTube?
Purification Tazkiyah, right?
Yeah, shout out to Abu Taymiyyah.
If you're watching this, we wholeheartedly invite you, inshallah.
Inshallah. But no. What he said in the series is a lot of benefit. It all links to everything that we're saying here. But I think this is a great note to end it off on. I think we hit a lot of beautiful points. And I'm very hungry.
Bismillah.
Alhamdulillah. طيب. Then, Jazakallah khair. With that being said, Allahumma atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.